day number 12. Day number 12. This is hump day. This is definitely the middle of camp. This is 12 practices in with 12 practices to go for camp. And so right now this is hard on them. I mean, it's hard. They're tired. They're beat up, and we have pushed really hard the last couple of days, going in full pads, I think 4 days in a row now, and getting some really pretty heated practices. And I think they're tired. I think their gas tank's running on empty a little bit, and it's shown with some of their emotion. But I like, for the most part, the way they're coming out and the way they're working. There's a lot of good things on both sides of the ball, but the biggest goal through all this team stuff is just to try and continue to identify that depth. And that's the thing that we continue to work on as a football team.
You've kind of been forced to work on that depth with some of the missing faces. Have you seen positives out of that? I know you never want to miss anybody, but is there a silver lining?
Like we had 5 guys go to a funeral today, down in Mandeville, and I mean, so they're not here. So there's 2 running backs. All of a sudden, Jaquise Dancy gets a lot of looks, and I thought he did a great job, and he flashed and showed some signs. And Marlon Seats went back there to tailback, and I thought he did some really good things. So every time a guy gets in there, I mean, it does one of 2 things. You say he's still got to continue to come along, or he starts to show some flashes. And I think some guys have stepped up, but we're certainly not where we need to be with the depth yet. But we still, like I said, we're just now at the halfway point, but I think we've made a lot of strides in the last 12 days.
I think I kind of jinxed it. I asked you about the health of the team last year, and you said it was the healthiest you've been, and now you got kind of dropping like flies.
Yeah, but none of them right now are season-ending injuries. We got bumps and bruises, which really with some of the guys that are starting. I mean, Paul Turner breaks his nose and he'll be out 4 days. He'll be back. Well, this is great work for Marlon Watts and for Marcus Gaines and for those guys. So I look at it right now, not necessarily as, you know what I mean, they're, like you said, dropping like flies. I mean, right now I look at it as a positive thing because it's given us a chance to work more with the depth.
Is there any concern that Kentrell might miss extended time?
No, I mean, right now they're saying maybe a week or so is what they're saying. And they got him in a boot right now. It didn't really swell up, so we have very little swelling in it. So right now I'm thinking probably a week to 10 days from what we're seeing right now. He's in a boot for precautionary just to make sure we can get it back as quick as possible.
Sorry, go ahead.
Going with that, the scrimmage, I'm guessing some of those guys may or may not be there. So I'm assuming it will be pretty important for, especially at the wide receiver position, to see if they're capable of kind of handling a lead role like Marcus and Marlon.
Yep. And right now, I mean, when I look at, I look at Deshaun Oliver's had a great camp. He's done a lot of good things. And Marcus and Marlon Watts and Sanford C. and the 2 freshmen, and those guys right now are getting an awful lot of reps, with a guy like Paul being out for a couple of days. And so right now I think it's really been, I don't want to say it's been a blessing because you never want anybody to get injured, but what it's forcing is some of those young guys to jump in there and run with the ones. And it's one thing to run out here and just play football. It's a whole other thing to get in that huddle with the ones. And I think it's putting them in a position where they've got to produce. And I think for the most part, I mean, I've seen a lot of growth out of most of those wide receivers, but I still don't think we're where we need to be yet.
Today there was a lot of different lineups on the offensive line. Are y'all getting close to having a solidified 5, or you still feel like you're a pretty good ways off?
No, I still think we're a little ways off. We've kind of marked Saturday as our day that we've got to start putting things together, and we're kind of going through the scrimmage and sliding a lot of guys around, looking at a lot of guys in a lot of different positions. Kirby's got a shoulder. You don't want to put him out there. I mean, he'll be back in a day or 2, but all of a sudden, so Brunson goes into center, and he's getting some good work there. Mahaffey's played center. You got Cam Manning's out for a couple days right now, so Landry's playing center. So, I mean, you got some things that you're just kind of moving around, and we'll find that picture and get it all together. And I've said this before, injury's part of the game. I hate it. I don't want it, but it's part of the game. But, you look at some of the injuries that have happened, I mean, they would have happened in Pascal. I mean, a guy turns his ankle in the open field. A guy goes down to catch a low ball and hurts his finger. Just little things like that. So injuries, you always have some bumps and bruises, and you always have some guys that are going to miss a day or 2 here and there. But, just like Ryan, we didn't throw Ryan for 2 days. We didn't throw him yesterday or today. His arm's sore, and it's given us an opportunity to take a real good look at Price Wilson and Jamar. Jamar, I almost called him Jared. Jamar. So I mean, it's given us a good opportunity to give them a lot of reps. So, but he should be back. He should be back tomorrow. And so it's, like I said, given us a great opportunity to evaluate a lot of guys.
Pretty notable week for Andy McElendon and Jens Danielson. Touch on them. Graduating.
Yes, I mean, both of them graduated this summer. They both have graduation tomorrow. Had the stole ceremony this morning from the athletic department. But both of those guys graduating as two seniors that kind of do everything the right way. And it's great to see them have their degree in their hand as another one, because I know Blake Martin and a couple other guys have already graduated as well.
What have your impressions on Jeff been through, I guess, 12 practices now?
I think he gets better. He gets better every day. He continues to come. I think it's one of those things. If we missed 4 reads yesterday, you missed 3 today, and you're trying to get to 2 tomorrow. And I think he's throwing the ball really well. I think he's throwing the ball really accurate. I think he's doing a really good job with the leadership role with these guys. I think he's doing a really nice job right now.
Was today just classic Kenneth Dixon? I mean, I know he's been a little under the weather the last few days, and he was kind of a man possessed out there today.
Well, I mean, we're not getting a whole lot of reps with Kenneth. I mean, right now, and as I said, I don't need to see Kenneth Dixon. I don't need to see Bo Feet. I don't need to see Vernon Butler. As we're out here in some of these team concepts running 140 plays, I don't need to see those guys take 40, 50 plays to tell me they can play. I said this at the beginning. We need to give our ones enough work to keep them fresh. We need to give them enough to keep them sharp so they don't get rusty. But what I don't need to do is wear them out trying to find out if they can play. We know those guys can play. I need to find out if the guys behind them can play. And that's why you can come out here, and it's not about does the offense win or does the defense win, because we're not trying to put it together and scheme on our defense and we're trying to evaluate individuals out here to put this team together. But that'll start here probably by the end of the week.
What was the reasoning behind moving Alex Woodhull to wide receiver?
He came off a shoulder surgery from last year, and he came out here and is still having, with as much throwing as you do in camp, was really having some soreness, and we had to shut him down for a couple days from the throwing. And he said, "Coach, I don't want to sit. I'll just go out there and play wide receiver." So we moved him out to wide receiver, and he's kind of moved out there and found a home and really doing a really nice job. He knows the offense, he knows the routes, so it's not like a huge transition for him. And he's a big athletic body, so he's done a nice job.
Sounds like it's permanent then.
No, I wouldn't say permanent, but I would say for this season. But I mean, very well after the season, you could put him back there for the spring as we go into spring ball. But right now, for what we're going into this year, yeah, I mean, because right now I think it's going to be hard to get him any reps at quarterback once we get into Saturday, where you really start to get into your season stuff. I think it'll be hard to have open tryouts again, so to speak, to give him some work there. So as we said, I want to go there, I want to play, and I want to watch this year. And I think so far I really like what he's done.
Approaching the season opener, any other additions, roster-wise, transfers that might be coming in?
There's a possibility. When I can comment on them, I will comment on them, but there's a possibility, yes.